All right, so this is a quick redo of the AWS video I made a few months ago. So I did the certification back in August. You can see here I passed it. Honestly, I didn't do as well as I would have liked. I did it back on August 23rd. Scored a 795. So the exam is ranked from 100, is like the bare minimum, is the lowest possible score, to 1,000, which is the maximum possible score. Passing is 700. So honestly, I didn't pass by that much, to be honest. But hey, passing is passing. So I took the certification because when you apply to WGU, there's like a month waiting period before, like you have to apply a month in advance, and when you're transferring in credits again, you have to do it like the month prior. So I started October 1st, so I had to transfer in all of my transferable credit by the 31st of August. So like pretty much a month in advance, you have to transfer everything in. So in that month, while I was waiting to start, I just did the certification because I was like, well, what the hell? I got nothing else to do. I don't have other school classes that I can do. So I just did this one because I think it is good to have some cloud skills in your tool belt. So this is a great entry level certification to get introduced to cloud computing and what it's all about. So you go over, the fundamentals, the principles behind cloud computing, why it originated, the history of AWS, of Amazon Web Services, and then the fundamental functions of the cloud. So, your networking, your storage, computing, as well as other functionalities such as security, authentication, and identity and access management. So you go over a lot of these foundational concepts and functions of AWS. You go through making an account and just playing around with a lot of the different key functionalities of AWS, such as EC2 instances, virtual machines, S3 object storage, and then you go over CloudFront, Route 53, all these things. So when it comes to background, again, this is an entry level certification, so you don't need a background in cloud computing. You can just hit this thing like from scratch with no prior experience. And the resource I use, so first I started off with this book right here, AWS Cloud Practitioner Study Guide with 500 practice test questions. This was by Cibex. I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to link this book just because I personally didn't get much out of it. I went through the book and went through all the practice questions, and then I took a practice exam from Udemy, and I didn't do all that well. Didn't even pass it. I think I barely missed it, barely failed. So it was off by a point or two. So again, this book is not that good. And I'll be honest, when I took the real exam through AWS, the questions from this book were not at all similar to the actual exam. So I wouldn't recommend this book. Was it useless? No. I mean, you got some good foundational knowledge, but I wouldn't recommend this as your primary resource. But just thought I'd show it anyways. The main resource was this Udemy course by Stefan Mark. I actually really enjoyed this Udemy course. It was really good. I didn't watch all the videos, but I thought his videos of walkthroughs, because he has videos where he just talks about concepts, and then he has videos where he actually, does the thing, and you can follow along. So all those videos I watched, the follow along videos I watched, and they were actually really good. So this Udemy course, I'd highly recommend it. It was very good. And sold separately are some practice tests, but the practice tests I noticed are exactly the same as the practice tests from Tutorial Dojo, which I'll move on to right now. And here it is. So Tutorial Dojo was the other main resource that I used. And the practice exams from Stefan Mark are exactly the same from the practice exams here. So I just thought I'd point that out. But the practice exams from Tutorials Dojo / Stefan Mark are actually extremely similar to the real exam. So those are actually a really good gauge of your readiness. But yeah, so I used the practice exams by Tutorials Dojo, and I used their cheat sheets, as you can see here. And I'll link both the Udemy and Tutorials Dojo in the description. So the cheat sheets goes over, the key things you need to know for each AWS service: compute, storage, database. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, you got your relational database management and your non-relational database, data warehouse too. But yeah, you go through all this stuff. Oh yeah, billing. That's a big thing actually. Billing is a big topic in the exam. It makes up a lot of questions. But you go through all of these. One thing I didn't realize was just how many services there are in AWS and how many that you could potentially be tested on. So it's actually a lot. It's a lot of shit. But these were very helpful. You just click on any of these and you don't need to know any of these services in depth, but you got to know what they do, what they stand for, because there are a lot of acronyms. So you have to know what the acronyms stand for. You have to know what the service basically does and just some key features of it. But you don't have to know any service in depth, really. But that's pretty much it. In terms of time it took me to complete the certification, it took me almost a month. I think it took me like just over 3 weeks. It took me a minute. Like I thought I'd be able to get through this cert in like 2 weeks and then maybe do another cert while I waited to start at WGU. But no, this cert took a lot out of me. It was pretty exhausting, just because of how many services there are and how many things you got to know and could potentially be tested on. I noticed for me, I got tested a lot on billing and a lot on computing services. The big thing is our networking, database, storage, compute, and IAM, the identity access management. I don't see it on here though. Whatever, identity access management, and then billing. Those are the most important things you gotta know. But all these other things like analytics services, developer tools, machine learning, like those are all things you could still be tested on. Like they might sprinkle in like these other more niche topics into the exam. Oh, there it is, security and identity services. But yeah, this took me about 3 weeks. Each day I was studying about probably like 2 to 3 hours every day. It was a grind, honestly. This was a grind, and it took me a lot longer. I don't understand how people, because I was watching some YouTube videos on this. People say they passed within like a week. Honestly, I don't think it's very realistic. This shit's a lot. You get tested on a lot. You don't get tested on anything in depth, but there's a wide variety of topics that you could potentially be tested on. So like it's a puddle, but it's a big puddle of things you can be tested on. So it's not deep, but it's a lot of different things that are included within the exams domain. But that's how long it took me to get. I got the certification just because I was waiting to start college and just figured I have something else to do. And good to have some cloud fundamentals in your toolkit. But that's all I got for this certification. Yeah, any questions? Let me know in the comments, and talk soon.